Welcome to a world of eerie whispers and chilling tales, where every shadow hides a secret and every sound could be a warning. Tonight, you'll hear stories that blur the line between reality and nightmare. Make yourself comfortable, if you dare. Stepan had always feared the dark. But it wasn't just a childish fear that faded with age. The darkness was alive. It watched him. It hid in the corners of his room, followed him through the halls of their old house. It breathed. It knew his name. And it waited. It started when he was very young. Every night, he heard footsteps in the corridor, breathing behind the door, whispers from the corners of the room. Sometimes, he felt something icy brush against his skin, like a cold breath of wind. His parents told him it was just his imagination. They never heard the floorboards creak under invisible steps. They never saw the shadows slipping through the door. They never felt those eyes staring at him from the depths of the dark. But Stepan knew the truth. There was something in the darkness, and it waited for him. Years passed. He grew up, left his childhood home, and told himself he no longer feared the dark. He had other worries now: work, family, responsibility. He met a wonderful woman, married her, and they had a son. But everything changed when little Artyom began waking up at night, screaming in terror. Stepan understood instantly. It had returned. But now, it wasn't after him. It wanted his son. One night, Artyom woke up screaming, "Daddy, it's here, it's calling me." Eyes shot down Stepan's spine. The old fears came rushing back. The same footsteps, the same breath, the same shadows. He couldn't let it happen again. He ran into Artyom's room, turning on the lights. His heart was pounding. In the corner, something moved. But when he blinked, it was gone. Artyom was trembling, clutching his teddy bear. "I saw it, Daddy," the boy whispered. "I swear." Stepan knelt, hugging him tightly. Warm, alive, his son. "It's okay. I'm here. No one will take you." But deep down, he knew that was a lie. That evening, once everyone had gone to bed, Stepan sat alone in the dark living room, listening. He gripped a knife tightly. If it came, he would be ready. The house grew quiet. Then came the familiar sounds. Soft footsteps, creaking floorboards, heavy, rasping breaths. But this time, there was something more. Long, dragging scratches on the walls, like claws scraping through wood, leaving deep marks. The fear was the same as in childhood. Thick, suffocating, paralyzing. But now he was an adult, and he wasn't going to hide. He grabbed a flashlight and walked into the hallway. The darkness seemed to press in around him, trying to swallow him whole. The flashlight flickered. Then he saw it. The creature stood at the end of the corridor, tall, thin, with elongated limbs and a skull-like face with hollow sockets. It stared at him, or rather, it felt him. Its breathing was slow, wet, and terrifyingly familiar. Stepan didn't move. For the first time in his life, he stared directly into its empty eyes. As a child, he had run. He had hidden. But now, he was a father. "You won't take him," Stepan whispered, his voice shaking. The creature took a step forward. Stepan tightened his grip on the knife. He wasn't that scared little boy anymore. Now, he could fight. And in that moment, the creature sensed his resolve. It recoiled, slowly backing away. It was dangerous. Only when you didn't believe. But he believed. He remembered. He knew. With one final hateful glare, the creature vanished into the darkness. Stepan knew it would never be gone forever. But if it ever returned, he would be ready. This story happened to me 10 years ago. At that time, I bought a house in a small village, hoping to enjoy fresh air and solitude. The village was tiny, almost deserted, which suited me perfectly. Near my new home stood an old, abandoned house. There were no other neighbors on my street, and I was absolutely sure no one lived in that crumbling place. That evening, I decided to grill some meat on the barbecue. The coals were glowing, and I was cooking, enjoying the quiet evening. Suddenly, an old, hunched woman appeared at my gate. Her face was twisted into a sinister grimace. She angrily scolded me about the smoke drifting onto her property. To my surprise, she lived in that old house. I apologized, but didn't stop cooking. She yelled some more, then smiled in the most terrifying way and walked away into the darkness. Around midnight, as I was cleaning up, I saw a skinny, mangy black cat. It jumped onto the grill, knocked it over, and ran toward her house. I cleaned up and went inside, but just before bed, I went to close the curtain. And there she was, that same old woman, standing just 5 meters from my window. She wore black clothes, her bony finger pointing right at me. My heart pounded. I grabbed a flashlight and rushed to chase her away. But I wasn't fast enough. Suddenly, she twisted her body grotesquely and sprinted toward my window, slamming her face into the glass. I froze in terror. From behind the half-closed curtain, I saw her sniffing the window and smiling. I hid behind the bed and waited for the sunrise. As dawn broke, she vanished. In the morning, I asked the locals about her. They said that a witch used to live in that house, but she died 40 years ago. I packed my bags that same day and left. I've never been able to sell that house. The dark silhouettes of tombstones loom under the moonlight. The wind rustles softly through the leaves. Suddenly, the silence is broken by the sound of weeping. A quiet, heart-wrenching sob echoes from beneath the graves, freezing the blood in your veins. The sound, full of sorrow and despair, seems to rise from the very earth itself. Locals tell countless tales about restless spirits who cry through the night, ghosts of brides who died before their wedding, mothers buried far from their children. Their sorrowful souls escape at midnight, weeping for their lost lives. One of the most famous legends centers around the grave of young Emily Nightingale, buried here in the 19th century. Emily died of tuberculosis at just 16, waiting for her fiancé who had left to find work. Every midnight, soft weeping can be heard near her grave, faint sobs of a broken heart. Locals believe it's Emily, mourning her lost love and stolen youth. Some brave souls have spent the night at the cemetery to hear it for themselves, and they swear that Emily's sorrowful voice truly rises from her grave, chilling them to the core. But Emily isn't the only one whose cries echo here. In the far corner of the cemetery where paupers were laid to rest, another sound is heard, a child's cry. According to legend, it's the ghost of little Mary, who died of hunger in 1895 at the age of 5. Her family was poor, unable to feed their 8 children. Mary, the youngest, often went to bed hungry. One cold winter night, she died in her mother's arms. They buried her here, among the forgotten graves. And since then, people have heard soft cries at night, the voice of a little girl whispering, "Mommy, I'm hungry." In the morning, tiny handprints and knee marks sometimes appear on her grave, as if someone had knelt there during the night. Some believe it's Mary's mother, returning in spirit to mourn her daughter, tormented by guilt. Her cries are said to be full of endless sorrow and regret, but the most chilling weeping comes from the old Johnson family crypt. Unlike the other graves, it stands out. Built in the 17th century, a towering stone mausoleum surrounded by iron gates. Sometimes, late at night, people hear weeping from inside. But not just any weeping. It's cold, hollow, and filled with unspeakable despair. Locals whisper that it's Lady Amanda Johnson, the wife of Lord Johnson. The Lord was known for his cruel temper, often beating his wife. One night, in a fit of rage, he killed her inside the crypt itself, sealing her fate where generations of his family were buried. Since then, Lady Amanda's restless spirit has been heard weeping in the crypt at night, sobbing for her stolen life. Her cries are so terrifying that the few dare approach the crypt after dark. To this day, these ghostly weepings remain a mystery. Skeptics dismiss them as myths, but even they can't explain the strange sounds that fill the cemetery at midnight. And for the locals, these mournful cries have become part of their folklore, passed down through generations. Every midnight, they are reminded of those souls, still trapped between worlds, searching for peace that may never come.